Acolytes. Now, I'm actually doing the China Observer. US-Zolle treffen hart. Chinesische Fabriken brechen zusammen. Ausrüstungsverkäufe schlimmer als je. Wahrscheinlich. Probably. Why is it in German? I have no effing idea, but the video is in English. That's why I clicked through it just to know if it's in English. But the title is basically, well, the tariffs are effing shit up. And I'm gonna be honest. As unfair it may be, or, well, bad for the Chinese people, it will make, at the end, America will come up on top. I think this will be a good thing at the end. Right now it may look bad, but hey. And the Chinese were, I'm gonna be honest, I had, a friend of mine had actually to do with Chinese. He got his thing, he actually invented something very popular these days. Got everything done, had his papers, he actually even, the patent, he got that, and the Chinese just copied it one-to-one or with a slight thingy bob, and he was done. He was just like, I don't even know why I'm in there against them, because they can just cheap steal everything and then I'm done. And yes, that's basically how this shit works. So I don't care about this. I literally do not care about the people that are suffering right now because China had the unfair advantage, unlike us, other people. Sadly. And I am sad for the Chinese people that didn't have anything to do with it, but sadly this is just how we have to act to actually defend ourselves. Now you know what I think about it, let's hear it.
Last month, I took an order for a batch of copper parts. I've already bought all the materials. It cost tens of thousands, and everything has been cut, ground, washed, and engraved. It's not finished yet, but today the customer messaged me and said the delivery might be delayed. After customs clearance, the taxes have gone up too much. A TikToker who works as a bulk trade supplier shared in his video the huge pressure he's under after the sudden increase in U.S. tariffs.
订单量5000多万美金，今年我们订单已经排到了26年的5月份。
Our orders are worth over 50 million US dollars. This year, we're already booked through May 2026. But with this 30% tariff hike, the impact on us is huge. If you're a small startup, it's not such a big deal because you don't ship enough to fill an entire container. But for us, it hits hard.
Oh, so you're a big company. Well, now I feel less, way less bad about it. And you're one of the, because remember in your backhead acolytes, those are the people that actually abuse the thing the Chinese provide them so they can get an unfair advantage in the market. And I would use it too, by the way, if I were on their side. But remember, don't waste your energy to actually feel bad for those companies. It's not that bad.
Profit margins in bulk trading are already razor thin. Now with a 34% tariff, it's like getting knocked to the ground.
He said the only thing he can do for now is wait. His backup plan is to ship through third-party warehouses in other countries. That's the only way forward. On April 7th, the owner of a clothing factory posted a video saying the entire foreign trade apparel industry in China is filled with anxiety.
现在做外贸单的
Everyone doing foreign trade now is nervous. A 50% tariff is just scary. Who's going to place orders under these conditions? Sure, some clothing businesses are still busy, but it's hard to make money anymore. US orders only make up part of our business, but there are so many clothing factories in China. If we all turn to Europe and there's no US orders, then think about it. Won't competition at home become even worse? Domestic sales are also weak this year.
See, this is the thing. If the competition at home becomes worse, I don't care. That's your problem. Just like it is my problem that I have to deal with my competition in my country. I don't care. And what I do care, hey, you had an unfair advantage. Now you're getting shafted for it. Good. Good.
People just don't have money to spend. So how can this market possibly improve?
On April 2nd, U.S. President Donald Trump announced a new round of global-based tariffs, raising rates on dozens of countries. At the time of the announcement, the actual tariff rate for China stood at 34%.
在现行适用关税税率基础上加征34%关税。
In response, the Chinese Communist Party announced on April 4th that it would impose a matching 34% tariff on all goods imported from the U.S. Trump then warned that he may raise tariffs on China by another 50%.
Hey,
the CCP responded by saying it's ready to fight to the end. While the Chinese government is showing a tough stance, many businesses in China are already feeling the pain.
Yep.
On April 7th, a
And they will
TikToker filmed a clip.
They will, by the way, cook up. Because they won't blame Trump for this. They will blame probably Trump for this. But they will rebel against their leaders.
Clothing factory that had shut down and said the clothing industry is in serious trouble. All the machines in his factory are about to stop. He said this year is going to be incredibly tough. That same day, another
Tough shit.
TikToker posted a similar scene, workers moving goods around inside a clothing factory. He wrote that as soon as the U.S. swung its tariff hammer, the impact finally hit the apparel industry. His factory originally had orders scheduled through the end of July, but now over 6,000 down jackets have been put on hold, and their ready-to-ship products are piling up in the warehouse. He said both offline and online sales are struggling this year. Even live stream selling isn't working anymore. With sluggish consumer demand and weak domestic sales, the foreign trade slowdown is pushing more exporters into the domestic market,
enough.
creating even more excess production. He said this year's apparel industry is like a pressure cooker that could blow at any moment. This isn't just panic, it's worse than during the pandemic. Many clothing business owners may lose everything they've built over a lifetime.
People seeing anybody seeing potential war with China.
Another TikToker showed the current situation at his factory. Because of the tariff hike, orders have been delayed or canceled. Now his packaging...
I'm gonna be honest. China won't attack America. That would be, I'm gonna be honest, I think this would be perfect for America if that happened. Because they would just bomb the snot out of them. Simple as that. And then, the entire thing would be solved in a short time. Not like with the Ukraine and Russia thing. No, this would be over way quicker.
And printing factory doesn't even have boxes to make. All he can do now is clean the factory. A TikToker shared a video saying that after the U.S. increased tariffs, the impact on China's foreign trade is obvious. He mentioned that when he flies, there are hardly any Westerners on the plane, mostly people from Africa. Also, when entering the U.S., Chinese people face especially strict security checks.
I'm
at Guangzhou Baiyun Airport right now, and the flight is about to take off. This tariff increase is really affecting China. If you look around, you can see there are almost no white faces here, mostly African brothers. This shows how tough the foreign trade situation is right now. When I went through customs, they saw my yellow skin and Chinese passport and gave me a hard time. They asked about every little detail, why I'm here, who I'm visiting, where I'm staying, how long I'll be, and what business I'm doing.
Fair enough.
Traveling abroad is already hard, and now people like me in foreign trade have to face Trump's 54% tariff hike and random checks.
On April 6th, a female owner of a laser cutting factory, Liu Ting, posted a video saying that manufacturing in China is going to get even harder, and she plans to sell off her 30,000 watt equipment.
是的，你们没有听错，我可能要把去年4月份买的大组的激光要准备出掉了。
Yes, you heard me right. I might have to sell the laser equipment I bought last April. I don't need to explain. You can probably guess why. The economic environment is bad, and the trade war has already started. Soon, all manufacturing businesses, especially small ones, will face bankruptcy. This is not an exaggeration. It's the reality. She also said that starting this month, all manufacturing businesses in China will face an unprecedented winter. More and more companies will go bankrupt, lay off workers, and downsize. Many manufacturing owners will end up with insufficient funds and will not survive. Cases in banks, law firms, and courts will pile up. The TikToker estimates that all manufacturing business owners are currently in an anxious, confused, and helpless state. Particularly for factories that relied on foreign trade orders, the shrinking foreign demand and declining domestic demand are making it difficult. Many small business owners can't sleep because of worries and fear. They're afraid all the years of hard work will go to waste. They fear they won't be able to pay employee wages or cover rent and utilities. The TikToker revealed that with electricity costs for her equipment already reaching her limit, she has decided to sell her 30,000-watt laser equipment. On April 8th, a TikToker from Zhejiang shared a video saying that she suddenly realized the U.S. tariff increase has also severely impacted non-exporting manufacturers.
浙江这边的厂，这个关税加上去之后。
How big of an impact has the tariff increase had on local factories in Zhejiang? I run a small factory and don't deal with foreign trade, so I'm not sure how much it would affect me. But I've noticed that my upstream suppliers who export raw materials haven't received any orders for a long time. Not even one container has shipped out. When they can't get orders, they try to switch to domestic sales. Now people at their factories are still working non-stop, running around to try to make domestic sales. So when they get involved in the domestic market, doesn't that just drag the domestic factories into it too? Everyone's getting caught in the spiral, and in the end, we'll all collapse together. The impact is really huge, and some people probably haven't realized it yet. Whether it's the impact on their foreign trade...
No, I don't think so. I think the best product survives, and then the rest will be decimated, and people will just, well, accept it at some point. That's what I think. That's how it always, or how it always was, and it probably will continue being that way. It's shitty for the people that it hits, but, well, I live in Germany, acolytes. Honestly, I prefer this problem than to the shit we have right now here.
Or on our factories that don't deal with foreign trade, it's all very significant. On April 7th, a TikToker from Foshan visited a newly built factory district and recorded footage of the vacant and neglected factory buildings.
He said, "Look at these factories that were just built last year. Now I can't even find a single person. There are no cars or people on the road. Some of these factories are single-story and others have multiple floors. The landlords spent nearly 1 billion yuan to build these. Just a few years ago, these beautiful buildings were all leased out by middlemen. You had to wait in line to rent a factory space, but now there isn't a single customer coming to view the space. The new factory buildings behind me haven't even been renovated yet because the landlords are afraid of spending money if no one rents them." With the manufacturing industry in decline, every industry is struggling.
He recalled that some Chinese companies moved to Southeast Asia to avoid the US-China trade war a few years ago. Now, this new wave of tariffs is a heavy blow to those companies because some countries have even higher tariffs than China. He questioned where these companies should go next: stay in Southeast Asia, move back to China, or shift to Africa. On April 7th, Ms. Gong, a manager of a Bluetooth headphone...
Well, you should strike a decision soon. Because this is the impact after I think it's 2 or 3 weeks of tariffs. So there is a lot of time in here that the US has. And I'm gonna be honest, beautiful.
Export company in Guangzhou told Radio Free Asia that most companies in Guangdong that used to trade with the US have stopped accepting orders due to tariff barriers. She said, "I had dinner with people from the industry yesterday, and they told me that they used to export products from Vietnam to the US. Now most of those orders have stopped. They're not taking new orders. They're just waiting to see how serious the situation will get. Right now, we know that foreign trade companies in Guangzhou and Guangdong are temporarily not accepting orders." Ms. Gong also mentioned that a Hong Kong company near her recently moved its factory to Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, and is currently hiring Vietnamese locals. However, the sudden increase in U.S. tariffs has put the factory in a difficult position. She said they just built the factory in Vietnam, and now they're about to start operations. But now the U.S. has increased tariffs by 46% on Vietnam, so it's impossible to avoid the high tax rates. The investment they made earlier is now wasted. According to Trump's announced plans, the U.S. will implement differentiated tariffs on different countries and regions, with China at 34%, the EU at 20%, Taiwan at 32%, Vietnam at 46%, Switzerland at 31%.
The EU only at 20%? Okay.
The UK and Brazil at 10%, and Japan, South Korea, and India at 24%. Additionally, Trump announced a minimum 10% tariff on all goods entering the U.S. However, on April 7th, U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent stated that nearly 70 countries have already reached out to the U.S. to discuss negotiations on Trump's latest tariff policy.
Okay.
He revealed that President Trump will personally participate in the talks to...
See, and this is the thing. It effing works. Good. It should work. You can see how a strong leader that actually just takes his ballsack, grabs it on the table, and says, "You know what to do. Do it or suffer under it." This is how you should actually go forward.
To secure the best bargaining position for the U.S. Many Southeast Asian countries, including Vietnam, Indonesia, Thailand, the Philippines, and Malaysia, have expressed...
Yes, and don't get me wrong. I hope that we can solve this in a humanly manner, where everybody will be fine, because you cannot actually trade when one side is unhappy about it. That's just a fact. But you still have to find the middle ground to actually do this. If you don't, well, stuff like this happens.
Expressed willingness to make adjustments and negotiate with the U.S. Despite Vietnam's proactive efforts to reduce U.S. import tariffs, the White House refused to offer reciprocal concessions, citing non-tariff cheating. U.S. Trade Advisor Peter Navarro recently said that Vietnam's issue lies in non-tariff methods, such as Chinese products being exported via Vietnam and the theft of U.S. intellectual property. His comments highlighted that the Trump administration not only sees tariffs as a tool to resolve trade imbalances, but is also trying to prevent country of origin laundering and reshape global manufacturing and supply chains. On April 6, a TikToker who runs a granulator production factory posted a video saying that due to the U.S. tariff policy, her factory has been working overtime to meet the demand from orders from Southeast Asia. Today is the second day of our holiday, but all our staff have been urgently called back to the factory to work overtime because of the tariff increase. Last night, our Southeast Asian customers called, asking us to hurry up and produce and ship. The boss said we should prioritize foreign orders. The big factories we work with are also working non-stop. I don't know what's going to happen next. Do you understand what this means? Some viewers commented under the video, saying, "Once these orders are done, there won't be any more orders. This is the last deal. This is the final flurry before the factory shuts down. Rushing to finish orders overnight, then pulling out when the business ends." After the U.S. announced the 34% tariff increase on Chinese goods, the People's Daily published a series of articles over 3 days.
What the F happened here? What the F happened here? Give me a second. Funny hiccup. Okay.
A series of articles over 3 days, strongly criticizing the U.S.'s unilateral abuse of reciprocal tariffs, while stating the sky will not fall. However, it's clear that Chinese industry is feeling pessimistic. Reports from Chinese media indicate that Chinese manufacturers, foreign trade businesses, third-party intermediaries, and U.S. buyers are all struggling in this tariff battle. Some are reworking their costs overnight and engaging in price wars. Others are changing product specifications and shipping methods, while some are rushing to fulfill orders in an attempt to minimize losses before the new tariffs take effect. One foreign trade owner said, "No matter what, with these tariff hikes, the biggest losers are the business people."
No.
Mr. Zhu, an e-commerce entrepreneur...
No, that's not true. The biggest losers are the normal people that would suffer under the tariffs, because, let's be honest, the tariffs will be reflected to the normal human being or to the customer that actually buys stuff. Not the business owners. The business owners will just get the money back by having higher prices. They won't suffer as much. I disagree with that.
From Jiangsu told Radio Free Asia that the U.S.'s high tariffs on China will lead to the collapse of many e-commerce businesses. He said, "We are definitely affected. The impact is huge, and there's basically no profit left. We just can't keep doing business. Many e-commerce businesses in Jiangsu and Guangdong can't operate anymore. Everyone's in poverty now." The time of hunger and instability is coming. Just the other day, I met an elderly man in his 80s who was cursing the leaders, saying they've ruined this country. Our foreign policy is surrounded on all sides, and no country is engaging with China normally anymore.
It starts. Good effing way. It starts. Very, very good.
Veteran media figure Mr. Ge believes that the differences between China and the US are not just about tariffs, and that Trump's tariff hikes are aimed at countries around the world. He points out that China's trade surplus with the US nearly reached $300 billion last year, something President Trump greatly dislikes. He added that US-Vietnam trade can be resolved through negotiations between the leaders of the countries, including lowering tariffs on Vietnamese products entering the US. But this is not the case for China. He said, in comparison, the trade war is definitely more disadvantageous for China because China depends heavily on the US market. The US itself is a huge market. The key issue is that after China made the first move, no other countries followed, which is probably the most troublesome problem for China. If Vietnam successfully negotiates with the US...
Yeah, I still don't understand what they thought that will happen. They made the first move that everybody will go after them. Now you have a lot of freaking weak people as your allies, and of course they're gonna hang you as soon as they can profit out of it in any way. That's just how this works. You don't have anyone that actually is gonna hold your back.
And benefits from it, it will attract many other countries to follow suit and negotiate as well. The People's Daily, the CCP's official paper, warned in a commentary that the US's actions will ultimately lead to a self-destructive cycle for the US. Australian scholar Li Yuanhua stated that while the US will temporarily be affected, American society's ability to withstand shocks is relatively greater than China's. He said, if life in China were to regress decades, could the Chinese people endure it? Can the CCP handle the growing public discontent? The CCP doesn't have many cards to play. When it collapses, it will likely not be in a rational way, and it won't be due to a desire to solve problems.
Correctly.
In a rare move, there has been criticism within China against the CCP's countermeasures against the US. He Bin, former deputy director of the Public Policy Research Center at the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences, recently posted on social media. He said the CCP's countermeasures are entirely wrong. He made a comparison. The tariffs are like, if you hit your wife, I'll hit my wife. He further pointed out, the US raising tariffs is like shooting yourself in the foot, and we should not shoot ourselves in the foot as well. He believes the correct countermeasure strategy is not to retaliate tit for tat, but to adopt a policy of comprehensive economic openness, implementing unilateral zero tariffs on all imported goods from other countries. Chinese economist Fu Peng believes that Trump's reciprocal tariffs are like a buyer gathering supplies for negotiation. If suppliers refuse to negotiate, it's like abandoning their chance to bid, which will exclude them from the supply chain. Fu Peng's comments are suspected to have been deleted. Chinese financial website Yi Cai cited analysis from Gao Ruidong, chief economist at Everbright Securities. He said that the current China-US trade friction is gradually extending into the fields of technology and finance. If negotiations continue to be blocked, the decoupling in these areas could further intensify. By May or June, the decoupling of technology and finance between China and the US could resonate with the tariff policies, amplifying pressure on capital.
Nice. I'm gonna be honest, very good video here. Chinese Observer. I really would want to know if this is an indie thing or just a big company. I would say it's a small thing, I think. Because it's high quality and very informative and very neutral, so I assume that it doesn't have a gigantic company behind it. Oh, for fuck's sake, could you... I don't know why YouTube does this with the German thing, where it just transfers everything that's written down in German. Just F off with that one. For F's sake, I already have everything on English, as you can see on the right side. Just some videos do that. But okay, fair enough. As it is, acolytes, good night.